So hi. My name is Megan. I have been running a Tumblr called Nerdy Lolita Fashion for, well, the actual address is Nerdy Lolitas, for about a year or so now. I've been into Lolita fashion for about 7 years, something like that. And I've recently found that while I love my standard, roughly pretty Lolita clothes, I do really enjoy incorporating things that I really love into them. Because, I don't know, I'm a very nerdy person and I feel really comfortable with putting my nerdy things with my roughly things. So yeah, this is a dollar in Angelic Pretty's decoration drink, in case you're wondering. It's pretty good. I'm surprised it fits into brand, to be honest. They're kind of funny shaped. I'm going to talk a little bit about how this is not necessarily everyone's thing. For the most part, I've gotten really good reception for both the coordinate type things I post and also for the Tumblr stuff. But I have gotten some rude comments, not a lot. I mean, as much as you get anywhere else, I guess. But it's not necessarily something that, it's not really considered a style in particular in Lolita. It's not even a thing. It's not like pirate or sailor or whatever. It's just kind of a theming of coordinates that interests me. And some people like it and some people don't, and that's cool. Yeah?
So by that meaning, you're saying that there's some ultra hardcore Lolitas who will be absolutely...
I don't know about ultra hardcore, but there are some people, yeah, who don't necessarily like it. And it's the sort of thing that, there are certain prints that I don't like, or certain, weird, giant bunny bonnet things that I don't wear. So I think of it in the same way that, it's just something that they don't particularly like. Normally, if I get bad comments, they're actually pretty polite. They're normally just like, I don't really like this. Okay, thanks. It's nice of you to say. Okay, bye. I've never had any problem, especially with our local community, because our local community is fabulous. But I've never had any problem, in person with somebody being like, your outfit is not Lolita enough. So it's not something that I would discourage you from doing or anything, but it's important to note that it's not everyone's favorite thing. Research is really, really important in Lolita. Knowing the style, being familiar with how to put an outfit together, where stuff comes from, where to order stuff, what's okay, what's not. Especially when you are doing something more complicated and a little less standard, it's really important to know where to draw the line. So this is my thin line. Do you get it? It's line and it's thin. So there's a very, very, very thin line between something being really cute themed Lolita and something being quote unquote Lita, which is bad, basically. And it's just important to know your basics before you branch out into more creative, strange things. This is my proof. This is me from 2006 in this really, really, really terrible outfit. I'm super embarrassed to have this up here, actually, because it's really bad. I don't even know what I'm doing with my face. I think I'm eating a donut. Thank you. I made this in 2006 as a quote-unquote batch Lolita. Allison is actually with me in a actually pretty reasonable Wolfwood coordinate, because it's more like a suit, so it's a lot easier for us. But I don't have a petticoat on, and my dress is a weird shape and super unflattering. And my shoes are big and clunky. So it's not a thing that I would accuse anyone else of, but I know it myself. I've done this before. So yeah, it's just really important to make sure that you're familiar with the fashion before branching out into something like this. So there's a lot of things to be really careful with, especially when you're choosing something to use. I've got you over there because I think the trickiest things to use in Lolita are things that people think are Lolita already. Magical girls, I see Madoka on Lolita things all the time. That's not Lolita, but okay. And Cheese from Chobits, anything like that people see and associate ruffles, cutesiness. Okay, this is Lolita. It's going to be a lot trickier to use because they would maybe even think you're cosplaying that character, or just think that that character is Lolita already. Crazy colors, like really bright colors, and we're wearing orange right now, which is pretty ridiculous, but it's a little bit of orange. Are more difficult. Neons, especially anything like hot pink or light green, is going to be a lot more difficult to incorporate because traditional Lolita colors are either, you know, pastels or very muted or just dark. So it's going to be a lot harder to convert. Animal ears and anything maid looking are going to be a lot more complicated. Even if you're wearing like a lot of old school Lolita does like nurse things or maid things, it gets mistaken for costumes a lot, so it's a lot more complicated to do. And just pay attention to quality overall. Quality is really, really important in Lolita, whether it's handmade or off-brand or brand or whatever. It's important that it's well put together, that the lace is nice, that stuff looks clean and fresh and pressed and nice. So that's just really important overall, but it's especially important when you're putting together something that's a little bit different. So I'm going to start out with actual things that brands have made in collaboration with nerdy stuff. This is actually really common. It's a lot more common than you'd think. A lot of times they will collaborate either through just like directly or through stage musicals. There's been a couple of incidences of that, or for a particular promotional thing. So I've got kind of a selection of examples. These certainly aren't all of them. I learned a couple of new ones at Heather's panel the other day. So there's a lot of selection, and they're all pretty interesting. And it'll help to see what brands think is okay, because brands really shape how the fashion works. So this is the first one. This was a recent collaboration in 2010 with Kuragahime, which is Jellyfish Princess in English. And they did a whole line. This isn't even all of it. They had matching headbows and socks and everything. I'm not really sure where the striping comes from, to be honest, but the middle one is definitely inspired by a dress that's one at the end that's supposed to look like a jellyfish. And as you can see, like, these are things that would totally just look fine with everyday Lolita. If you saw them on the street, you really wouldn't assume, well, the likelihood that you see them on the street is kind of slim, but if you saw them around a convention, you would just assume that it was like regular Lolita wear. These two are collaborations between Maruhi One in particular. They had a bunch of brands do different Macross Frontier themed things. Ranka is on the left and Cheryl is on the right. And you can see that these look a little more like costumes. They look a little more like the characters, kind of. But they look a little more out there. They look more like something you wear to a convention or something special rather than like everyday Lolita wear. And I really like the one on the right particularly because it's using a theme that's kind of interesting and not seen as commonly the more military look, but it's using it really successfully, and it looks like it could really work for general Lolita. These two are Vocaloid collaborations. There's been a bunch of Vocaloid collaborations. I think there's another one later on. But these two I thought were really cute from Metamorphose. That's Brina and Len. And their little matching outfits, which I think is really cute. Twinning is really fun in themed things because, you know, typically if you like a character from a series, you like a character from a series and then make matching outfits. I'm wearing a Prestolating coordinate today, and my friend Allison back there in the back is wearing a matching Luke outfit. And I think that's really cool. It really helps to draw a theme together when you have more than one of you. These are a stage musical example. Alice and the Pirates did a musical collaboration for Kuroshizuji or Black Butler. They, some of the prints were even really familiar. I don't remember the name of that print in the top left or right. So if you remember the name of that print, is that Rose Jail? It looks like a Rose Jail. I don't know. But some of the prints they even used for, like the current prints for the musical, which was really interesting. And some of their stuff, you know, looks more Lolita, like the Kodana outfits that CL wears would totally be acceptable outside of stuff, whereas some of the stuff looks a little more ridiculous, like that one with the bonnet in the bottom left. So I thought that was really, really cool to see a brand actually interact with something theater related, because we often try so hard to emphasize that this is not a costume, while like, well, that's a costume, like literally. So it's cool to see brands kind of branching out that way. And sometimes brands mess things up. I don't even know what to do with the outfit on the right. The one on the left isn't terrible, well, it's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as the one on the right, which appears to be pants that you wear over your boobs. This Switch and Mayo Vocaloid collaboration. I've written on the same characters, and it's so funny to see the contrast between the really cute, well put together metamorpho sets that could be any Sailor Lolita and these plaid things. I don't know the things. But it's important to note that like it's not necessarily where you get your stuff. Like brands make weird crap too. So I'm going to talk about 4 basic ways to incorporate different nerdy things. And some of them I have more examples than others. This isn't like a super common thing, so I apologize if my face is everywhere. But I did get some really awesome submissions from people, so hopefully that will help emphasize different ways to use things. So they are odds and ends, casual, print-based, and character-based. The first one is something I'm calling odds and ends. I couldn't think of a better term for it. It's basically using just little things to bring what you love into your Lolita. And this is really the easiest way to do this, especially if you're already familiar with Lolita. You know, a necklace or a bag that has something you really like on it. Like, I don't know. Like this one is Totoro. It's got a little Totoro ring and some little sit balls. I don't know the Japanese term. Earrings. And a little umbrella necklace, like the one he holds underneath the tree. And it still has colors from that theme. It's still gray and white to match Totoro, but it's not, you know, overtly something that you would immediately see and think of Totoro. So here are a couple examples. On the left, that's me. Sorry, my face is going to be everywhere. I wore that to a Hunger Games meetup we had recently, and it's a little bit hard to see there, but I'm wearing a Mockingjay brooch, and my little headdress has one of the little silver parachutes that they get from the sponsors. And I tried to incorporate more like foresty tones and more muted colors to match with, you know, people like running around in the forest killing each other. And on the right, Hildy is awesome. She submitted a lot of pictures to me, and I'm really grateful. She does a lot of incorporating her nerdy loves into Lolita as well. That's a Christmas coordinate of hers, and you can see that everything's pretty like standardly Christmassy, but there's a Dalek on her scarf, which is super cute. Christmas Daleks, my favorite. Thank you. Casual is fairly easy as well. It's basically just a standard casual Lolita coordinate, which is a little more toned down. It's not so crazy. And using things like nerdy t-shirts that have things on them. This one's Super Mario. And then coordinating them with either things you already have or things you think that would match well. I went with something polka dotted to match the mushrooms, and then have little mushroom accessories. And it's important with this one to not be afraid of prints. A lot of people shy away from prints when they do coordinates like this because if a t-shirt's really busy, they think that it might not go as well. But prints really can help pull a theme out of a more casual standard coordinate. And accessories are really important in this as well. You can see a theme a lot easier if you have things that are also kind of tied in with the same idea. More of my face and more of Hildy. So I'm on the left, and that's a R2D2 shirt. Polka dots are pretty easy to coordinate with a lot of things, and they help things look a little bit more put together. And prints like stripes and stuff are really easy for that as well. And Hildy is wearing a Dalek shirt, which is awesome. It says keep coming, then exterminate, exterminate, exterminate. And here are a couple more. Pardon My Bloomers on Tumblr was nice enough to send me a couple too. She's amazing. You should totally follow her if you have Tumblr. So she's wearing a Darth Vader Hello Kitty shirt on the left with some plaid to tie in the red from the bow. In the middle, I'm wearing a Batman shirt. I wear that for Free Comic Book Day, actually. And it's a lot simpler, but it kind of looks more like the character. I wanted to go with kind of a Batgirl theme, and most Batgirls don't wear a whole lot of color. And on the right, there is Pardon My Bloomers again in a Star Trek t-shirt and her skirt. It's a little hard to see here, but it had kind of a star print to it, so that was really appropriate. Print-based is really good for people who love to sew. So there's a lot of options for fabric, and I'll talk about those a little bit later, so I'm just going to go through the print stuff first. And it's basically using things that either have print or an applique or some sort of stenciling of whatever it is you're trying to use. And this example is a charted skirt. It's from Corset Wonderland on Etsy, but I also know that you can buy that fabric in particular on Spoonflower. And it's really good, like I said, if you're into sewing or crafting, because it's a really simple, easy way to just kind of add things to a fairly simple coordinate. With a print, it's a lot. It's not as hard to figure out, how to balance things to look like a character because it's already like here. I made a Stormtrooper dress a while ago. They're just little felt appliques of Stormtrooper helmets. In the middle, he's wearing a Dalek skirt. It's based on that Da Vinci drawing of the dude in his arm. I don't know what it's called.
The Vitruvian Man.
Thank you. And on the far right is Keika's July skirt. So Princess Eowyn sent me this amazing, amazing skirt that has Tetris on it. You really want one. And it's got the little falling blocks and then like a big pile of them at the bottom. And Ivy Productions sent me the one on the right. It's a little bit hard to see, but that fabric is covered in Avengers characters. It's got Captain America and Wolverine and I think Iron Man's in there, and the Hulk's definitely down there at the bottom. And it's really, really cool because from afar you wouldn't even like ponder that, other than she's standing with the Avengers poster, but you wouldn't even like think about it. But because up close you can see all of these awesome characters. So here's a little bit about shopping for fabrics. I really want that fabric. It's got Wonder Woman and Supergirl and Batgirl, and it's like poster style, which I think is really cute. So there's a lot of stuff that you can find in normal fabric stores. The thing to be careful of is that a lot of fabrics that you would buy in fabric stores, typically I see a lot of comic book characters or Star Wars stuff, tends to be kind of ugly, for lack of a better word. It's hard to find stuff that will work well color palette wise for Lolita, because a lot of times those sorts of fabrics are mostly marketed to people who make stuff for like their little boys. So it's a lot of like really bright oranges and lime greens and stuff, so it's not as easy, but it is possible to find if you're determined or very lucky. Spoonflower and Fabric on Demand are two different fabric printing services. Spoonflower actually has a library that you can order from. I don't believe Fabric on Demand does, but if you're good at drawing, you can always design your own. And Spoonflower especially I like because they have that library, and if you search for a certain show you're looking for or a certain character, chances are you might be able to find it. I know they have quite a bit of Doctor Who stuff, and I have seen some comic book character stuff and some Firefly stuff. For anime, it tends to be a little bit difficult because the fandom is not based so much in making fabric for some reason. I don't know. But for more wide sci-fi fandom, it's pretty easy to find fabric like that on Spoonflower. And Etsy is a great place to look, and eBay can be. I've seen some stuff made out of like old Star Wars bed sheets or things like that. It's a little bit difficult because stuff like that tends to be really thin, so it doesn't always work out as well as a more like quilter's cotton heavier weight. But it is possible to find stuff. I've looked through Etsy a couple of times specifically looking for certain kinds of nerdy fabric, and I have been able to find some stuff in their supply section. There's a little drop down and you can go to supplies.